Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Horror Room. So, last week we took a look at Alone in the Dark, which wasn't a great movie at all. Um, this week, slightly better, but not by much. We're taking a look at House of the Dead. This is a personal movie that attacked my childhood. Um, I was, teenhood. I was 16 when this movie came out. It came out in 2003. Um, Now, a little bit of history. Obviously, most people who enjoy House of the Dead enjoy the games. Specifically, number two is the one that everyone always raves about because it's so stupid with the bad voice acting. Um, I have a soft spot for the first game, and that, obviously, I got the shirt repping the game. Um, I was real bummed when I heard they were remaking the game and they were like doing it from the ground up because there's something with like the hardware they couldn't like. I don't know. They couldn't preserve it. They preserved the second and the third game. They're on the Wii, uh, but the first one always has had a special place in my heart. So when I heard they were making a House of the Dead movie, I was right there in the theater, like, hey, I gotta watch this. Um, Now, to put this into perspective, the arcade game came out on September 13th, 1996. I was 9 years old when this game came out. And I have fond memories of me and my dad playing it at the local mall. I think one time he spent like an ungodly amount of quarters so we could make it to the final boss. Um, I think we beat it. I'm pretty sure we did. Nowadays, if I want to play it, I have it on my computer, but it doesn't have the music, and it's different playing it with a mouse. So it's not as fun, but it's the only way to play it at home, unless you own the arcade. Which, whoa, if this channel ever blows up, you can help me. Um, so this movie came out in 2003. The Resident Evil movie, which is also based off of a video game. Uh, Not anything to do with the games hardly, but way better than House of the Dead. Came out in 2002. And if you want to look at this as a zombie movie instead of a video game movie, Dawn of the Dead's remake came out the next year. So, sandwiched in between those pretty cool, awesome 2000s movie is this stinker by Uwe Ball. So, I have a bunch of notes. I actually just wanted to say another thing that me and my girlfriend, we tried to start a podcast. It was going to be a little side project on this channel, and it didn't work, but this was the first movie we decided to cover, and, it sucks. I wish it would have worked. Maybe eventually down the line, if I get some better equipment to do it the right way, we'll see. But like I said, that's future plans. Um, So, anyways, this movie starts off with some bad monologue where the guy's like, "It all started," like, I bet you're wondering how I got here, like that kind of stupidness. And then it jump cuts to footage from the games, uh, and it's like they put like a negative filter over the footage, and they got this like crappy techno music playing. Um, and this isn't the only time we see footage of the game. They randomly use it to transition scenes. And there's also a really obnoxious fight scene later on in the movie we're going to talk about. And they shoehorn that in like the whole fight. But anyways, so this movie is about a group of friends that are trying to get to a rave hosted by Sega, the people who made the House of the Dead game. And they're actually their brand is in the movie at the rave. There's like banners everywhere. Um, they were proud to be a part of this movie. Great job, Sega. Um, uh, and the island that they're going to, the locals call it Isla del Morte, which means Island of the Dead. And we get to hear that from Clint Howard. Mr. Ice Cream Man himself. Um, Clint Howard, when it comes to movies, I don't think he could say no. um, and his character, when they introduce him, he comes out, he's wearing this yellow raincoat, and he's got a fish hook. He looks like the fucking Gordon fisherman from the frozen food section. Um, and his name in the movie is Salish, but the Captain Kirk, that's his name. Yeah, yeah, stupid reference. Um, keeps calling him Sally, and I thought that was his name, and then I looked it up, and his name is Salish. So either way, so they're trying to bribe Clint Howard, like, "Hey, take us to this island," and he's like, "Oh, I told you kids, get out of here." And then the captain comes up, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing, man? Trying to pretend to be me?" Uh, and he's like, "Well, I'll take you, but you got to pay me." And they, I think they said like $300. And the captain's like, "Well, I'll do it for 6." And they're like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" Um, and then he's like, "Well, we can't go there, Captain. It's cursed." Blah blah blah. Clint Howard's getting like super emotional. Um, and then the guy's like, "I'll give you $1,000." It's like, so obviously this guy's rich. Because no one's wasting $1,000 to go to a rave hosted by Sega on an island in the middle of nowhere, and like, there's not even really any good music. You'll hear more about the music later. Um, but the captain agrees to it, mainly because it looks like the border patrol or somebody else in a boat, some position of power. We meet up with them later on too. He's like, "Well, we better get out of here. That's my ex girlfriend or something." Um, Now, I do apologize for making notes. But these ones are all over the place. So I'm going to be jumping all around trying to figure out where I'm at. um, so then we cut to the island as they're heading to the island, and there's a guy and a girl messing around on the beach. The girl goes out, I'm just going to go swimming. Just an excuse to get some nudity in this movie, which, unlike the last one, this movie doesn't shy away from showing a little bit of nudity, but, it, even nudity can't save the House of the Dead. So the girl comes back from swimming, the guy's gone. So she's like, I just should go walking through the jungle, forest, woods, whatever is on this island. And of course, we get the stupid shot where there's like a hand on a tree watching her walk away. And she comes into a clearing, and they show the House of the Dead. And it's very unimpressive. Like, it looks more like a shack of the dead. Like, think Evil Dead 2, the little shack that Ash puts his chainsaw hand on. Or no, he doesn't do it in the shack. He cuts Linda's head in half with the chainsaw in there. So anyways, they all get to the island. Captain Kirk and Sally go to hide some weapons. Like, okay, they're smuggling stuff, so I guess that's one of the reasons they wanted to get away from the border patrol or whatever. Or what's the ocean equivalent of that? I'm fucking it all up, but anyways, so the friends go and they're at the rave, and of course it's abandoned because they've already been attacked. It's nighttime now, by the way. So 4 of them go off. We're gonna go search. We're gonna go find where everyone went, and then 2 of them obviously stay behind because they want to have sex. And there's like a whole joke about like, "Oh, we'll take that long," and then she's like, "Oh, well, it's okay. I don't care." And then he's like, "I gotta pee, baby. This beer's gotta go somewhere." Like, it's really bad. um, so yeah, Captain Kirk and Clint Howard are going to hide the guns. But then the other group, they go and they find the House of the Dead. Because, that's part of the movie, is the house that everyone apparently just wanders up to. They find 3 survivors. One of them is named Rudolph, or Rudy. They call him Rudy. There's Liberty, which is like, she's wearing like this awful red, white, and blue jumpsuit, and she's got like her hair done up crazy. Then there's another guy, which I don't remember his name, but he does the most egregious thing in this movie. He references the zombies. He's like, "Oh, this is like straight out of a Romero flick," and they're like, "Romero?" And he's like, "Yeah, George Romero. He made Night, Dawn, and Day, and someday he's gonna make Twilight." It's like it just blew my mind, and I was like, "This is don't reference good zombie movies in this movie." And for another reference, Land of the Dead came out in 2005. So only a couple years we didn't get Twilight of the Dead, but we got Land of the Dead. So they come back to the area where they left the two to have sex. The guy went off to pee, and he somehow winds up. They have the porta potty tipped over. I guess zombies pulled a jackass prank on him. He's covered in shit. And then his girlfriend, who's a zombie now, starts attacking everyone, and they're like, "Oh my gosh!" And they're saved by the lady and the guy who were on the boat after Captain Kirk and Sally. Her name is Casper, and her partner's name is MacGyver. Who's coming up with all these names? That's what I want to know. So far, we haven't gotten any names from the actual House of the Dead. Like, we've seen the House of the Dead, but it's not impressive. Nobody even has a red or blue gun. So, but anyways, Coast Guard. That's what I've been saying Border Patrol. Coast Guard. They also could be AMS agents. It's not clear. But I think they're just the Coast Guard. So they meet up with Kirk, and Kirk's like, "Whoa, we gotta get some weapons," because like obviously there's zombies. There's a scene where I didn't write it down, but I remember there's a scene where Kirk and Sally are back on the boat, and it starts getting attacked by zombies, and Kirk's showing off, like shooting them off the boat. Somehow one of the, because it's when they go to meet up with the captain. One of them ends up in the water, and Liberty, yeah, she swims out to save him, and I don't know, it's very silly. It's a pointless scene. So then they all meet up, and they go back to the House of the Dead, which is a horrible idea, because the zombies at this point. You should just be getting the fuck off the island. I think there was something wrong with the boat. I can't quite remember. But anyways, they get all their weapons and they head to the House of the Dead. And this scene is specifically called in the scene selection Bullet Time. And I actually went to the scene selection, and they tried to do it like the map from the House of the Dead game, where like when you die it shows like where you went, the path you took. But it's like a worse version of that. So then we get into the most frustrating and embarrassing part of the whole movie, where there's this horrible song called Fury by Black Tiger playing, where he's like, "I am Fury, something, something, House of the Dead." It's really bad. Like, the only comparison I could think of was, it reminds me of that Hootie Voodoo song from Dead Island 1, where it's like, okay, like, I guess we can put a bad song in here. That's what it reminds me of. And I counted. There are 10 360 spins. And when I say 360 spins, I mean like going around the character. Sometimes it even double rotates. There was ones that were like kind of a half shot, but it was usually like someone about to fire a gun, and then it would go beside them and show like the zombie or whoever getting shot. They do these 360 spins to show like the characters shooting the guns. It's like, I guess. They do a lot with Liberty, where she's like kicking, because of course she's the Asian character. She's got to know kung fu and use kung fu on the zombies. So they show her like, kicking the zombies. They're throwing grenades around all willy-nilly. It's ridiculous. Um, but then we get to the scene where I forgot to mention the main girl that we're supposed to be following out of this group just randomly because they don't really do anything with her till about this point in the movie. Her name's Alicia. Um, she has a shotgun. A zombie grabs an axe and literally jumps in the air and throws the axe and does like a front flip and she shoots the shotgun from like 20 feet away and it like shows the shotgun break apart into the shrapnel and fly over and it's like spinning. It's some Matrix bullshit. I mean, this was 2003. I'm fairly certain most of the Matrix movies were already out and nobody gave a shit anymore. But here comes House of the Dead, like they're onto something. Um, like, and I couldn't. That was the other thing. I don't think I remember them using that. Um, but it would have been cool to hear some music from the game or like a reference that like was fun. Like, what if like one of the characters was shooting zombies and then all of a sudden they're like, uh oh, and then you hear reload, and then that'd have been kind of funny. I mean, it would be weird if it said shoot outside of the screen. Um, so yeah, I mentioned the shotgun scene. Um, so Liberty's out fighting hand to hand, and of course she gets overwhelmed and killed, and Rudy sees her die and has like a flashback of the last 10 minutes of fighting. Like he's just standing there like, and like it's all. I'm like, what is this? Is he like? He's just standing there like, and any zombie could just come up and kill him instantly. Um, so they're trying to get into the House of the Dead now, and one of them has the wise idea, like, let's blow it up, the door. They're like, don't do that, because then if we blow the door off, the zombies will just come right in after us. So Rudy and Casper go around the house to look for a way in, and they find a window. Rudy climbs in, and as he's helping Casper in, zombies start grabbing her, and they eat her lower half, like her entire lower half. And he pulls her upper half into the house, and he's like, "You saved us! You really saved us!" Um, so remember that she saved them like 5 minutes, if anything. Um, so he goes and lets them in, but not before Kirk gets his dumbass bitten. Um, and Sally got killed or was bitten off screen. I think it was back with the boat shit. So Clint Howard's dead. Um, he's been bitten. He knows he's about to be a goner. So like, well, we'll go look around and see what we can find. And they find like a room with a bunch of powder in it, like cake powder. Um, so, anyways, they're looking around. I think they find a laboratory downstairs. Uh, I will say that the laboratory looks pretty cool. There's a lot of like props of like heads and body parts and jars. It's your stereotypical like evil scientist lab underneath this House of the Dead. So, meanwhile, while they're looking around for something, uh, Mr. Captain Kirk decides to go outside and be a macho badass. And Rudy's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, I'm already dead, so you guys get out of here." And he goes out and he starts shooting a couple zombies. And then he just gives up and pulls out a fucking stick of dynamite. Like, where do you get this shit? Lights it with his cigar. And he's standing right in front of the fucking house, like near the door that just moments ago they were saying, if you blow this door up, the zombies are just going to come inside. And that's exactly what fucking happens. We truly get a House of the Dead. Um, so they run. A couple of them die. The one guy, he's like, I don't know, it's like a little mini love arc with one of the other chicks. And he's like, "Oh, I got bit. I won't survive. You guys go ahead." And he like shoots the keg barrels or whatever. Um, so then like it's Rudy, Alicia, and the other chick, they're down in these like sewer tunnels, and it's literally like train tracks leading through like straight, and it becomes literally an on rail shooter. They're like walking down there, and zombies are popping out, and they're like doom 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 doom. And eventually, the other survivor, which I can't remember her name, but it doesn't matter because she gets killed by like the moss monster zombies that are just popping out of the wall and grabbing people. Um, but then Alicia spots the guy that blew himself up. I mean, they left him behind, so they didn't see him blow up. Um, he like saves them from some zombies with like a sword. He comes out of nowhere. He's got like a cloak and a sword. And, yeah. Um, so he's like come with me, and like sneaks off all fucking suspicious like, and they're like, oh, we better follow him back to the lab. And of course, they get there, and dude's wearing guy's face like a fucking Leatherface movie. Um, so this guy is called Castillo. I did not write his last name down, but yeah, this guy. Because he's all over the back of this movie. Good old Stitchy Face. Um, so apparently, he used to be like a basically a bad pirate guy or something, and they catch him. He's like a big pirate thief, bad guy. They catch him and try to hang him, and the scene where they hang him is really funny because like they show him drop, and then he opens his eyes. He goes, "I will never die." And for some reason, he looks like the guy from the Mummy, the first Mummy movie. It's not the same guy, but it always reminds me of that guy, and it's really funny. Um, so he's sitting there monologuing about all this and like, I'm gonna live forever. This is why I have my house of the dead. Um, Alicia like grabs his sword and stabs him with it. And then her and Rudy run off out the lab, not through the sewers. They find like an emergency storm, like those storm cellars you see where it's like a two doors leading down to the basement outside of someone's house. They find an exit like that. Like, where was that a couple minutes ago? You could have avoided losing your friend. Um, so they get out of there, and as soon as they leave out of there, it like randomly explodes. So I'm like, okay. Um, but then, of course, Castillo follows them out. He's through with the disguises. He's just all nasty. Looks kind of cool. In a different movie, he might be cool. But this is a character that's been in none of the games, so big whoop. So they have this sword fight. I think she had like a sword of her own. But of course, they go back to doing the 360 spins. They do about four more of them. Double spins with their fighting with the swords. Rudy trying to save her. Um, Castillo ends up getting decapitated. And you're like, yeah, okay, finally, it's over. But his body keeps coming after Rudy. And like, I think he starts choking him. Or maybe he stabs him. Um, I think he stabs him. And then Alicia like goes over to his head and like stomps on it. That part was kind of cool. But then you see a helicopter come over and then drops down. It's got the AMS logo. And one of the guys gets out and he says, me and G are on the scene. So the other guy's G. I can assume that this guy is Thomas Rogan from the first game. Um, so, wait, didn't. Or no, I think Alicia got killed. She got stabbed or something. One of them got stabbed. I'm pretty sure it was her, actually. And Rudy's like holding her, comforting her. Um, and they go up and they're like, well, we need to secure this area. Like, oh, What'd you say your name was again? And the guy goes, oh, my name's Rudolph. Rudolph Currian. And if you're just as confused as I was, that's supposed to be the doctor from the first game. So this isn't even House of the Dead. This is the prequel, I guess. So he leaves the island and goes crazy and makes a bigger bet. He's like, that house on the island sucked. I'm going to make a mansion. They call it Mansion of the Dead. So yeah. This is a movie that, as dumb as it is at times, that makes you laugh. It's just so bad. Like, especially if you have any love for the old arcade games. And I really do love the first three games, anyways. Now, there is another version of this movie, if you can believe it or not. I mean, they made a sequel, but they also released a director's cut of this movie. And usually a director's cut is just, adding in some deleted scenes, or maybe it's got a different intro, or the ending of the movie is different. They turned this into a fucking riff track. They call it the funny version, and see, the cover is like the zombie looking through the keyhole. On the funny version, it shows a hand holding a key, and the zombie's going, oh, and it's. I know in like the foreign releases of it, it's the Castillo guy, and he's doing like an L on his forehead. Like, I've only seen it once, and I really do want to track it down and watch it again. It's very bad. Like, think like the Man Show level of humor, like Beavis and Butthead, and then like cram it all into this movie and makes it even worse. Like, just boobs and farts. It's makes a already almost unwatchable movie all the way unwatchable. Like, it's horrible. Now, you might be asking yourself, why do you own this movie if you hate it so much? I got it for free when my friend gave me a lot of these movies, and I said, you know what? I don't like this movie, but I want to bitch about it one day. And I guess me owning it keeps some poor soul from watching it. I mean, I'd like to think that, but there's like hundreds of these movies out there. So, mission failed. Mission failed to make a good House of the Dead movie. Now, there's been rumors that someone's going to make a new House of the Dead movie. By the time this video's out, maybe we've heard some news. I got to stop doing this because I know it means something stupid. So if I have any news on the new House of the Dead and I haven't put it in the description, remind me down below. I'll link a trailer or an article. But I highly doubt it. So yeah, there you have it. House of the Dead. It's not unwatchable. It wasn't boring like Alone in the Dark, but it still leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So we've watched 2 video game movies. Now, this is not the only video game movies that Uwe Ball has done. He's done Postal. He's done 3 Blood Rain movies, which I don't care about. Blood Rain. I'm not gonna cover those anytime soon, anyways. So next week we're gonna be taking a look at an original horror movie by Uwe Ball. Not much better than this one. Actually, a lot worse, if I'm being honest. You might know what I'm talking about, but if you don't, stay tuned for next week. And we're going to crack into another Uwe Ball shit show, basically. So, thanks for bearing with me, and just watch this movie with caution. I'll see you guys next week.